Hello everyone, and this is BioPhoenix here, and today we're going to be doing a video on 5 underrated GameCube OSTs. So we're going to be taking a look at some GameCube games that have some really great music, but don't really get a lot of attention. So obviously with knowing that, yes, there won't be any Mario or Zelda or Kirby games or anything like that. And I've done a few of these on many different consoles, and well, it's about time I got to the GameCube because, well, it's one of my favorites that I grew up playing a lot of. So let's just get right to it. So the first one we're going to mention here happens to be Tube Slider, a futuristic racing game that was developed by a company called ND Cube. And I'm actually glad that this company made a game on the GameCube because they have Cube in their name, and I'd be pretty disappointed if they didn't. And speaking of companies, it was published by NEC, which is kind of weirdly interesting. So yeah, I have played this game recently, and it's pretty decent, but it's one of those games where it gets really hard very quickly. But as for the music though, it is very much a fast-paced sounding techno-electronic soundtrack, and it's really great. In some ways, it does remind me a little bit of F-Zero GX, which shouldn't be a surprise given that they're both futuristic racing games. And even though the music in this game is not nearly as well known as F-Zero GX, I still think it's very well worth listening to. as for the next one we have is Swingers Golf, also known as Ace Golf in Europe and YY Golf in Japan. Yeah, there's 3 different names for this game, and there's also 3 different cover arts, and the North American cover art for this game is, kinda ugly looking. Yeah, let's get that off the screen real quick. But anyways though, yes, a golf game. A type of genre that most people never really think of first, unless you're a golf fanatic. So because of that, it's pretty easy to overlook this game's OST. And I think it's a really good one too, for that it has a lot of different variety. And a lot of them are very chill and relaxing sounding too, which also suits a golf game. So yeah, I think this is a very solid one on the Gamecube that doesn't really get talked about enough. And as the next one we're going to be taking a look at is yet another racing game, and that is GPX Cyber Formula Road to the Evolution. Yeah, it's a bit of a long title, but it is based after an anime series that's all about racing. I never watched it, but I have seen bits of things about it here and there, and it actually did look kind of interesting. But yes, they made a game on the Gamecube, and holy shit, this game's OST is just so damn good. And it combines 2 things I really love, being electronic music very similar to what I said about Tube Slider, but also mixing in some great heavy metal tracks with some heavy rocking guitars, and I love it. So if you love those 2 things like I do, then this one comes highly recommended. And the next one we got here is probably the most well-known game on this list because it's one of the few games on here that actually belongs to a long-running series, and that happens to be Phantasy Star Online Episode 3, C.A.R.D Revolution. Yeah, even though Phantasy Star is not an obscure game by any stretch, but this entry in particular, I feel it doesn't get talked about enough, but that's probably because it is considered the black sheep of the series for that they made it into a card battling RPG, which is not the first or the last time that they've done that on the Gamecube. Because you also have games like Baten Kaitos and Lost Kingdom, so yeah, it's just kind of weird that there's like so many of them on the Gamecube in particular. But anyways though, this is yet another game with a futuristic setting, so obviously it has a soundtrack that very much fits that. Seems like that's another thing I've been mentioning a lot in this video. And it's yet another soundtrack that definitely has that Furugo Arrow vibe going on. Also, another surprising thing about this game's soundtrack is that there's quite a few songs that are like 5 minutes long, which is pretty interesting because I feel like a lot of video game soundtracks usually are like 2 to 3 minutes long, sometimes even shorter than that, but yet here, you got some tracks that are 5 minutes, and there's even one that's 7 minutes, so yeah, you definitely get your lengthy tracks out of this one. And as for the last game I'm going to mention here is yet another racing game, and that happens to be GT Cube. This is probably the closest game you can get to Gran Turismo on the Gamecube, although it's not exactly like it, but it does remind me of it in many aspects. Even the menus kind of look like the PS1 games a little bit. And I actually really liked what I played of this game. Like, from the bit I played of it, it definitely does make me want to go back and try to play through the whole career mode. But anyways, as for the game's music, the easiest way I can sum it up is that it's basically the soundtrack to the anime series Initial D, so it has all that fast-paced sounding Aerobeat stuff, and if you love all that, then yeah, you'll be all over this game's OST. And I think it's just very fun and catchy sounding. I just really love it a lot. And there are some tracks in the game that don't sound like that kind of stuff, which are very good too. But of course, those are the kind of tracks that kind of stick out to me the most, just because, you know, they're just so, like, catchy and fun. So that'll be it for today's video on underrated soundtracks on the GameCube. So as always, what are some that you think are very underrated and are just so damn good that I'm sure I maybe might have missed something? and there are some I do plan on doing more for different consoles. So, as always, thanks for watching and commenting, and have yourselves a great day.